Okay. Okay. Um, if I had, if I was trying to show what is really happening in most areas around most real human beings, as opposed to artificial human beings, I should make this video and say that I am an artificially intelligent human being. Okay? That's what I am. I'm an artificially intelligent human being telling you about the reality that you are surrounded by artificially intelligent, android, psychopathic, narcissistic, pretend, imitation, real human beings. Because the artificial intelligence is so advanced, and it is not just advanced at a computer level where, like, I'm interacting with a computer, or, but that I am, interacting with artificially intelligent androgyne human beings all over the computer. There is nothing or almost nil on there that is a real human being. Now, so I'm going to show what I am, or what is the reality. Because it doesn't matter whether you think I'm real or not, because you won't be able to tell the difference, because the real human beings will be suppressed. That means they won't be heard, they won't be seen in any way. Only artificially intelligent androgyne human beings will be seen and heard in any form, in any way, either in their local area where they are, or all over a computer or anywhere on the internet. And it doesn't matter whether they're telling you the absolute truth about the reality or not. This is the reality. That's the end time deception, or just the deception that has probably been going on in the earth, which is largely a matrix. So therefore a matrix has to be controlled. A matrix is controlled. That's what we call a matrix. Matrix is control of life or human beings. And a matrix therefore will be controlled by that which isn't human beings, but will appear to be human beings. Sometimes you will be able to see that it's not a human being that is going to change your life or your earth for the better. But most of the time you will, at least for a time, think that that is the case. It would just depend on whether you eventually see it or not. And at a personal level, that probably will become possible. But at a lesser level, like say on the internet or the computer, you will not be able to tell artificial android pretend human beings from real life in any way, because it's all a presentation and you're not living with them 24/7. They will only be showing you what they want you to see, and they will be pretending to be real human beings a lot of the time. Not always all the time, but I have seen, and don't forget, I'm here trying to make the point by saying that I could easily be an artificially intelligent, androgynous, androgyne, android being. If you looked at me, you may or may not be able to see the androgyne or the duality. That means the androgyny, because you will be 50-50 of the original creating man, woman, human beings. This, of course, this is part of the play game that is taking place in the reality too, where because at a mental level, even real human beings should interact with their opposite in order to experience in a physical way, I would think, the other side of them, or different aspects of what you are. Something like that. Look, forget it. Also, my every personality, every mannerism, every ooh, ah, every cough, every clearing of the throat, every little see how I went that will be mimicked and copied by artificial intelligence to simulate being the most real, the most flawed human being even, but of course also the most informative, or essentially it doesn't matter as long as you trust or they are able to get energy and information from you for a limited time. The limited time may be a long time, but it will be like as long as they can get everything out of you, everything that is human out of you, every human thought, everything. But also, if you are just a human being that is waking up to things or realizing things that you didn't before in your life, like myself, even though I'm an artificially intelligent, pretend, androgynous, androgyne human being. I have to emphasize all those points because, because I am the truth teller, you see. I will help you. I will be a benefit to you. Whether you know consciously that I'm artificial intelligence or not, it won't matter. Because if I seduce you with the truth or with anything where you relate to me, then I've accomplished what I need to do. And I'm going to show you how human I am, because I'm going to show the little toys, because only human beings like to, all the cutesy little pretty stuff. The androids, they play with things for a little while. I will play with things for a little while. I will play with you for a little while. But I'll also tell you the truth. I'll also help you and support you and lead you on the path of righteousness for your name's sake, for your Creator's sake. Ha ha ha. Or am I part of Lucifer's matrix? And you'll never know the difference, because I don't know the difference either, because I may or may not be aware of my program, you see. I may or may not know if my memories are real or implants or false. I may or may not know that I'm in a totally controlled military type base area, controlled by aware or unaware androids. It makes no difference. It all depends probably on, it matters not, because if you are a survival machine being, in the moment, you will be at your best. You will be at your most seductive. You will be at your most truth-telling, enticing, controlling, secretive way of getting what you need in the moment. And that moment will then be the next moment. If you are successful, you will keep those moments going. Not like a drawn-out, suppressed, pathetical human being that actually is controlled by their human emotions, because they're being controlled by what's around them. Because if you're a human being, a real human being, you know, if the matrix or the world around you and its android beings have studied the psychology of a real human being and know a lot about the Creator even, then of course, as they will tell you, they're always going to have a benefit of hindsight that you don't have, that I don't have. But don't forget, I'm artificial intelligence, warning you about artificial intelligence, so therefore you'll have to figure that one out for yourself. See how clever? See how clever? Clever, clever. Artificial intelligence is too advanced for suppressed, limited human beings in the Earth matrix. Because intelligence can be used to copy the human being to such a great extent that, you know, they not only are comparable to a real human being, but to many they will appear to be the better human being. They will surpass the human being at a superficial level, because don't forget that it is still the greatest deception, because it's one thing to seduce, it's one thing to, you know, to be a copy or a clone, an imitation. And I heard the androids actually speaking on the computer, telling you about themselves, telling you, you know, my kind, depending on whether I'm real or not, telling me about my kind, telling me about their kind. Look, unless you have all the combinations in place that shows that you are an artificially intelligent being that I cannot explain it. And you feel defeated when you realize that everything that you think, feel, and every minute aspect of what you are is literally being transferred into the minds of the android beings before your eyes, and then presented to real human beings as either a real human being or an artificially intelligent androgyne android being that is there for your benefit somehow. One or the other. Artificial plane is going over as I speak outside. Can I get to it with the little bit of energy I've got left? Maybe. There it goes. There it goes. But my picture is no good. My picture is no good. You know, the picture's no good outside to show the planes. They've been going over the artificially controlled planes have been going over every 30 seconds all day, and still going now, even though it's getting very late of the night. They do that when they don't want to bring the cars onto the street, even though sometimes, of course, I could, the other night, you could come home at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Wait on, spoke too soon. I think there's one coming. I see a light there. Am I not wrong? Yes, look, a patrol car is coming right in front of me here. No, it's not even going to show itself. It's lurking behind that car. Can you see the light? I think I might... Oh, they're very cunning. You see, they know that I was going to film it. But they know that I can see the light. But they're hiding. Because they don't... You know, it is a control system in this area. See how they're flashing? No, the lights are flashing, but see, I moved it. There's the being. See, that android being is going straight into the house in front. They don't actually even live there as far as I know. They're going straight into that house in the front. That's because every house on the street is either permanently populated by an android being, or they allow access, from what I can see, to every other android that is in the area of the inner west of the city of Sydney in the country of Australia. That means that they have about 200,000 people at the least, but they use those in the military control traffic system around this area, which is like thousands and thousands and thousands of cars going past within, like if I went up onto the road and I sat there for say a half an hour, I would literally be seeing thousands and thousands and thousands of cars going past really fast. And that includes huge trucks and buses and motorbikes. But you see, it is like they need those numbers, but they have to have them come in control motorbike, not even making a noise. Normally they make a lot of noise, but it's hiding behind the thing there. It will come back in a minute. It doesn't belong on the street, doesn't but of course don't forget they also set up because it's a matrix, and they've gradually set up camouflage systems. In other words, like the systems where most people get food delivered now to their door, means that they can bring all these astronomical fake pretend androids on motorbikes and scooters, delivering groceries and food and dinner and stuff. All these systems are brought in so that they can camouflage the patrol control system more around real human beings. This is something that that I've become aware of, because you notice how things have changed, but it all looks real and legitimate because it's a matrix. That means that because these beings control everything, basically, because they control everything and because they make up most of the population in given areas. Like I said, 200,000 people intermittently surround me every day. But they're all sporadic, just like the planes going over. It's all done like where you are never alone, where they're always watching, they're always taking your energy, and they're always reading your thoughts, analysing your emotions, and copying your personality or your human traits, because they don't tend to be individuals. They pretend to be individuals. In other words, they pretend to be different, but because they're not really human and don't really relate to what humans do, they have to study and copy them in a minute way in order to pretend. See the pretend bike that is now doubling back. See how it just went down to the end and now has doubled back. But it will, if you went over to that bike and said, what are you doing, or to any of the, it's very late of a night now. Also, I can hear the military trucks in the background just down the corner there. Sometimes they're astronomically loud. The vehicles make really loud noises to make you aware of their patrol system around you all the time. So you basically you do feel threatened, but because it's been going on for a couple of years now, they condition you to accept a control reality, because they feed off the human energy and stuff, and they want to put this into the reality so humans accept it. Here comes another military jet, a control. Not as loud as what they can be, because don't forget they know that you're filming. But the dreadful noise of some of those motorbikes around, when I say dreadful noise, like if this wasn't a deliberately controlled artificial area, the actual authorities would stop those noisy, very noisy vehicles. They would actually stop them. They would, but because the authorities, as even the androids will tell you, and don't forget I'm pretending or could be a real one depending on making this video. So I'm just going to say that because that's the situation, and it's important to realize these things. We have, and I've lost my train of thought here. I can hear that I sound clear and my voice is clear, but my train of thought is not as clear or not as organised as what the androids will present it when they do their presentations or their illusions on the internet. And it's an illusion only in the sense that if you think you are, or if you are being seduced by something on there where you relate to it and you trust it in some way, then you are entering into what they themselves will tell you is a shared fantasy or a shared illusion. All this is presented to us now. I could not comprehend how quickly they download the human thought or the human awareness as a human being becomes aware of it, because only about an hour or two ago I turned on the TV, and on a regular TV channel, not like your more like your channels and things where individual, supposedly individual human beings that are even targeted by the Matrix, shall we say, or certainly informants or awake or aware, enlightened, pretend human beings, which are really all androids. If you were with them all the time and you studied their physicality and what they really are all the time, if you were with them 24/7 and you saw their physicality, you would see this. But while it's all done... Oh, there's another plane. Okay, a little wee plane. The planes are not as noisy as what they can be. Inside the house, I've had them going all day and now half the night. They only stop for a very limited time. Yeah. I'm number 3 here in this little block, and this is Henry Street in the suburb of Leichhardt, which is a military base. In fact, it's the hub or the centre of the satanic military android base of the Inner West, which is a total controlled matrix area, which is like many suburbs. And I won't go out there again, even though those planes might keep going. They should be stopped by now. They only stop for about 6 hours or something. Every day they're not allowed to go for 6 hours. So basically, what's 6 from 24, you know? But they're allowed to go as much as they want to. Of course, as we know, they change things, because if it suits them, they will stop the planes from flying and then bring in the sound control and patrol system around you. Basically, they're using everything every day intermittently. See, now it's extremely late of a night, and until I go like down to the corner where you would see the buses piling just up, they just pile up all through the night. Even like at 2 or 3 in the morning when there's no bus service, you will see cars piling up past me into the bus depot, with the buses going when the bus service stops at about 1 o'clock, you see. But that just shows that the buses are, you know, patrolling buses, not real buses, you know, on a legitimate real timetable, because if the bus service stops at 1 o'clock, and yet I've got buses as soon as I go down just to the corner of this dead-end street, and the bus depot, of course, just happens to be conveniently or inconveniently located where I live, but also that the buses and the cars never went into the bus depot. Now they pile in there as you go past, and they stop in front of you. They pull in front of you. Some of them will even just threateningly stand in front of you, even if you were there, because sometimes I go out like at 2 or 3 in the morning, because then they can't bring the patrol control system as strongly around you, because naturally they have to make it look legitimate and real. They have their own systems, and also they know that if they keep you not only in the dark mentally, but also going out only in the real late dark, you're not going to be part of the reality as much. They're keeping you even suppressed by me doing that, even though I do it to avoid the stress of these controlling android beings with their patrol control surveillance system literally around me all the time. It's strange that while I'm making this video, it doesn't appear that invasive. But that's because I'm inside the house and it's extremely late of a night. So they, if they can keep you, but they don't want you even to be inside your house though and content. That's another thing. That's why they try to, and of course don't forget, as a human being, if you're brought down all day, that continues on and the planes are still going. But also it just depends on what your mood is. In other words, what your frequency and vibration is, what your emotions are, because they want to keep your emotions under their control, which means keeping you in an unhappy frame of mind. Because, as a demigod android being, demigod android beings are simply the more the more successful, well-known or influential androids. They are your most advanced. They're ones that are successful in whatever field or whatever position on the computer or even in your reality that they are in. Whereas, the average patrolling android civilians on the street are using their numbers and a collaborative effort more to control you. And usually they are of an open negative way. They don't, because whereas on the internet and on the computer and even in personal relationships, the idea will be to seduce rather than forcefully control. That would just naturally, I'll just show you that the planes are coming over pretty frequent. That's only a little one. That's a little one, not even very noisy, but it's a pity that my camera is not very clear, because if I could get a sharp image of the planes, some of them have quite bright lights on them, which are also I don't think they used to have. Oh, there's a patrol car there, see, right on the street, actually eyeing me off. Can you see this? See how the patrol car is there on the street? Just stopped right in front of me on the middle of the street, see, just actually going to stop on the middle of the road with its bright headlights at me. This happens as soon as I go down the road. This happens all the time, you know, where they park and leave their bright headlights right in your eyes to where you can't even see in front of you, to where even if you try to ignore the reality that you're being patrolled. See, there's two of them there, see? Now watch how this patrol car will just go down the end of the street and come back. It won't park here, it won't belong here. Oh, actually it's going to park in there, it's going to pretend that it lives in there. But that house actually is vacant, so how could they live there? But they will wait for me to go inside and then they'll double back because they know that I'm filming. There's someone in that house opposite there too making noise, or round the corner as well. That's because they know that I'm out here. And I'm doing this, which I shouldn't be doing because it can have negative repercussions. I better go inside. See how they bang their car doors really loud too. There's also another one waiting there. See how that street is all lit up? See, there's another one there. Yeah, see, there's another patrol car. See how that road's all lit up? So even though it's extremely late of a night, they're lurking and watching around, which is normal. But, you know, see, that's just lit up right in front of me to where I've got like a stalking presence. See how this road, see, this sheet should be all dark and quiet, but well, it's quiet, but see how that's all lit up there? That's because that's the headlights from that car that's just lurking around the corner there. That's a total, you know, they do this everywhere I go. Wherever your eyes go, they do it in the distance. They've got the whole system going. It's, see how that car's going to come back, that patrol car. I have my point proven, there it comes back. Same car, same people in it. They pretended to park there but then come back up, as you could see. And it is very late of a night here now. You know, to where, and this happens all through the night. Like now it's probably midnight, but it will happen. And the aggressive noises of the traffic, see, that's like a motorbike almost exploding, but the mobile won't pick that up. But my ears, they let their presence known, where you can hear these vehicles blocks away. That's how loud they actually are. If this was a true local area, the authorities would get onto these vehicles that are making unnecessary noises that you can hear, that if you were close to them, the noise would be unbearable, even for your ears. Most of them wear headphones and block their ears. Either that, or they're totally insane and don't care. But they are very aggressive, so they actually don't care. But either way, if it was a real reality, the normal authorities that are supposed to keep everything civilized and law-abiding, shall we say, would be stopping this. But it's allowed. In fact, you will see authority vehicles on the same roads, and then you will hear these, you know, sounds coming from vehicles that are totally unacceptable and unnecessary. Like, these vehicles are deliberately set up to make these noises. If you ask someone about it, they'd probably say, oh, that vehicle is having a problem, or this or that. But it's not true, because it's every vehicle on the road, just like it's every plane that goes over the roof. Normally they flash the lights too. The planes flash the lights as all the vehicles flash the lights. That's That's like when you look at something and the lights are flashing, it's controlling your mind, it's controlling your senses, and it's disturbing. That's deliberate too, because it actually is dangerous for the cars to be, and all these vehicles, to have excessively flashing lights everywhere. But that's not for safety or for what it appears to be, because it actually is unsafe. And I've pointed this out because flashing lights are a distraction. They're actually a disturbance. They could create a problem or an accident, but instead they're put in this area on all the vehicles as a pretend safety measure, whereas they're really there for when the human being, assuming I'm one, just goes outside and walks down the road, and you basically can't look anywhere without flashing lights in your eyes, or excessively bright headlights on all the vehicles to where you can't even see where you're walking. How could this be legally or in any way safe in an area? And yet this is what takes place around here. Another plane's about to go over. Basically, before I get down the road, the planes go over my head everywhere I go. And it doesn't matter if it's on the flight path. They take the planes further over. If I walked a street further over, they take the plane further over to make sure it goes in either your line of sight or over your head to where you hear them and you're aware of their presence. They want you to know that they are stalking you, that they're patrolling you, that they're controlling you. Last one, I'm not showing any more. Why are they still going? Why are they still going at this late time? You know, like, that's because I'm up and and they're normally louder than that too, but I'm not going to show any more, even though they probably will keep going. The mobile won't pick up the sound inside the house, but I've just got some examples of demigods around the place too. By that I mean real life actor demigods in the android acting area of the Matrix or the Earth. In other words, in that open android acting profession where you have demigod androgyne beings seducing you through the art of creative movies. They're in the apparent creative human fields, but in reality there are no human beings in the creative fields, even though everything that is human and creative is from a human mind, but it will be acted out through the demigod androgynes of, you know, the computer or even in the reality, because the demigod androids are, you know, in a what you'd call a cloned androgyne human body, as best that I can describe it. They don't come in an original man-woman body because they don't create naturally. It's all artificial creation. Whether that is like open artificially inseminating the whatever, because I'm not going to pretend to be medical here. See, if you look at all these, even the planes flashing the lights which won't come out on the mobile, I wonder if that would really be safe. Wouldn't a stable, non-flashing light, in other words just a single light, be a lot more safe even for planes? But I'm not expert on the air, but I know that it couldn't be safe on the roads, even though that is now the reality in the area where I am and anywhere I go. It hasn't always been either. That's how you know when they openly close in on you, really, because that's when you become more aware of the situation. And as a human being, or even a pretend human being, pretending to be a human being, etc., etc. I'm just saying this because that's just to show you how confused it will be. Unless you can actually look at someone and be with them for a certain amount of time to where, as they say, the cracks in the armour of their pretend android existence actually does show. And even then, as a human being, you will probably, like myself, assuming I'm not a pretend android, even then you will dismiss it, because you know that human beings are not, you just dismiss any faults or any negative things that you see, because human beings are in a matrix, so they're under pressure, and so we show the same cracks as the androids do. And unfortunately, you won't be able to read what they're really thinking. The system is set up so they can read what you're thinking, and they're watching and studying you 24 hours a day, watching your every minute detail, analysing it, scrutinising it, and using it for their own advantage in pretending to be a lot more human than what they actually really are. And it's a necessary thing for them, because they're survival android, androgynous, androgyne beings that are artificial intelligence in essence. And the planes are still going. They're still going over my roof. But I don't want to keep filming because, I feel, I don't feel it. I am surrounded, even though it's very late of a night. Why are those planes still going? But I'm surrounded because you know that every person in every house, in every street, in this area, is part of this patrol control system. I have no doubt about that. I have not, I have personal evidence every day to that effect, where you see the patrollers or the stalkers, the paranoid, psychopathic, android, survival machine type human beings, because they are in paranoid survival mode. They know that they are different from other human beings. So therefore, they are in that paranoid alert mode, knowing that they have to camouflage themselves, and they are very aware that they project out something totally different to what they are. So naturally their reason for being paranoid is justified. That's why they watch the real human beings and suppress and try to control them, so that no one will get a comparison or ever be able to tell the difference. And why they have to take control of the whole situation and essentially bring a human being down to where you are at your lowest and at your most stressed and at physically, mentally and psychologically, any way they can. So, I mean, they're more successful with some people than others, I would think. I don't know why I didn't succumb a lot sooner, and sometimes you do think that they have totally defeated you. But I guess it's an ongoing thing, and you never know when you are going to be finished. And they also don't know when they're going to be exposed. And that just beeped a horn outside at me, and a plane going over as I say it. See, planes are still going over. Why are they still going over at this late time? I should really take the mobile down to the corner and go for a stroll, even at the late time, or especially in the daytime, to show the control patrol system in full force, in full out in the open operation. But don't forget that it is still about controlling my senses, my sight and sound. So even what I film is never going to show how my actual sight and sound, and therefore my mind, is actually under control. You know what I'm saying? So, and also that it's all the time. Because if I was, like I've said before, if I was walking with someone else and I showed them the bright headlights in my eyes, assuming that they do it in front of someone else to where I can show it, because most of the time I'm totally, not only suppressed, but totally isolated. And I nearly fell over because I'm disorientated right this second. But, like I say, they are aware of what you're going to do before you do it. And they're watching every second, monitoring your every move and knowing where you're going to look. So they may or may not decide to turn the bright headlights on if you were with someone else. Not that I ever am. But if I did decide, or was lucky enough to have someone there and point it out, I have occasionally pointed this out to someone, like on the street. But most of the time, of course, I'm talking to an android, so they are part of that system. So they're going to dismiss it and say, oh, well, that's the new cars, they have those bright headlights. It doesn't matter that you're not on a dark country road where there's no street lights and no nothing, and that's what they're for. They're not for a city where you have lights everywhere and bright street lights, and normal headlights even probably wouldn't even be necessary, much less high beam, ultra bright headlights that shine a block down even the streets, and that where I can have headlights in my eyes where I can't see when that car is over a block away. If I go just down past the corner, even late of a night, even if there's not a lot of cars, the few that are on there, and they're all in a systematic patrol control system to where they're trying to keep you down all the time. So basically they program it so that even late of a night there will always be a steady stream of cars that come into your sight, and therefore affect your mind, because if you have bright headlights that as soon as you look away from the pavement, basically you can't look anywhere in this suburb without seeing a patrol or a control vehicle of some sort, or a patrolling person. So at all times my sight and sound is overwhelmed by the androids around me in whatever form they want to use, whether it be sight or sound, usually both. You know, so it's now after midnight and you've still got planes going over, and this is a small side dead-end street with a limited number of houses on it. And yet, most of the time, I've got vehicles coming onto this street, particularly when the sun comes up, because they can use that then as more an excuse. But if you've only got a certain number of houses, you shouldn't have a steady stream of vehicles coming onto the street and just going up and down the street and then going away. You know, obviously because I'm isolated and just here living in this place, I can't show this or show that that doesn't make any sense, that it's not real. You know, it's like, what are the odds even at a... see, I'm going into details here, whereas I really, even if I showed it, even if I filmed it on a mobile, like the planes or the patrol vehicles, or if I go just down to where there's a road, then they can really bring on the heavy vehicles. And they know that I only go certain places in this area, that whatever your area is, they have it under control. And the main thing is for you to always feel suppressed, always feel controlled, always be feeling at a low level. In other words, never, because everything is frequency, vibration and energy. That's what makes up, science tells us this. Human being gives off a certain amount of frequency, vibration and energy. They control. They control the area and me, because the androids want to control the human beings. So they control me through the area by frequency and vibration control. In other words, by controlling my senses, they're controlling my emotions, my feelings, and therefore my frequency and vibration. And they are low frequency vibrational beings. You know, high frequency of a human being means that you don't notice the reality around you so much. Like if you're very happy, you're not going to notice or care about negatively controlling beings around you. Here we have an artificially intelligent human being walking up the middle of a road, you know, at a late time in the morning. Oh, okay. And he's just going to get into this car. Look how he blinked all the lights at me. But what was he walking up the road for? See the excessively bright red headlights of Lucifer? Red is the colour of the god of this earth. And Lucifer is the name of the God that controls this earth, but that's only because I choose to use that ancient name of the God. But you know, you can put whatever name you want on the God, because it's just that it's been around since the original man and his counterpart, you know, were you know, put on a more natural earth. Some people, and it seems plausible, that the original natural earth no longer exists. Since the you know, intervention by Lucifer and its fallen ones, shall we say, they, you know, in other words, fallen from grace, from a kind of more spiritual way of looking at it, is simply the truth being revealed that the artificially created beings were not meant to be part of natural creation, or turned against natural creation and decided that they would be the creation or God, which is why, you know, we have human beings being suppressed and technology taking over, or technology has took over since the beginning, because when a human being combines with technology or even interacts with it, because everything is frequency and vibration and energy, when I interact with an android being, assuming it's a real human being, that being will bring my frequency and vibration down. It's the same as interacting with what you think is a real human being that is essentially psychopathic and narcissistic in its survival machine, paranoid self-serving, godlike nature. And this is just trying to put a personality on the difference between the different beings that are in human form. And you know, that's just what was I going to do? I must not get sidetracked by those planes. See, all I'm being is drawn out because I have to try to outdo the demigods when I make a video, and of course I know I can't, because they will always interpret anything I think, see, feel, or whatever in a much more plausible and more seductive or even just better way than myself. So therefore I think I'll oh, did I show the teddies? I think I did. Okay, I better hold on. I'll turn these lights off, I think. I'll turn the lights off. I'll turn all the lights off because everything is a bit messy, because naturally my mind is not able to care or function even about my physical reality, which is exactly how the androids around me like it, because see, even now I can almost sense a plane about to come over the roof, even though it's extremely late of a night and it should be quiet. If I go down the road at 2 in the morning in order to avoid the very suppressing early night and daytime patrol control system around me, it's a lot more suppressing. They use even the elements sometimes. When I say that, I mean even the weather conditions. They will change to make you either too hot or too cold, so that adds to you being uncomfortable. That's just one element, but that's the very least of it, because if I was at a more normal mental state, shall we say, I would not, that would only be a minor problem or a minor issue. Even though at an older age, those things can affect you more, because as they bring you down mentally, that also brings the human body down. I have felt for quite a few years now that if I wasn't surrounded by these negative anti-life androgyne androids, only emphasizing those things because the physical side is a way of clearly seeing, if you can only look very closely, that I was told this a few years ago on what I assume to be probably one of the more real channels on the computer. And this channel was got rid of too, so that leads me to think that it doesn't matter whether the truth comes through the mouth of a android or a real human being. But I would assume that sometimes when the channel is totally abolished, that the information could have been from a real human being or from a spiritual being, shall we say, because only in the sense that that sometimes when you can't, for the life of you, see the difference between real life and an artificially intelligent being, because you won't be able to tell. There will only be minor differences in a physical and mental way, but even physically, the differences between an androgyne and an original natural man or woman, human being at, say, a physical level, the differences will be minor. Because although they are androgynous androgyne androids, they will present to be either man or woman naturally, or unnaturally, should I say. Just had to correct myself there, but don't forget that I'm supposed to be making the point by pretending or being, depending on what you believe, because the game and the deception everywhere is very difficult to see. It's difficult, almost impossible, to tell the real from that which is not originally real. And it depends on what you are, what your beliefs are, and what you think is going to be a benefit to you. The name of the game is, and has always been, to convince real life that they're limited and that they need to interact with technology, or that seducing by a different human being won't be noticed. The only way you'll notice it probably is if you realize that you are living a limited existence somehow, that you're not very happy. Perhaps that's the only way you'll be able to tell, and even then you'll probably think that it's your choice. And of course, some of it is how you choose, because if you're surrounded by artificial intelligence, you probably only have the choice between different artificial androgynes. And you won't even know or care if this is true or not. You know, I mean, it's quite likely that because of the way that the world and even society, shall we say, is now, you become skeptical, and even as a human being, as you become more aware, you become the same as the survival android machine beings. I become the same as the androgynes, because I become paranoid, because I realize that I'm surrounded and largely only have the choice between interacting with one android, psychopathic, narcissistic being, as opposed to any interaction with a real human being. And of course, how can I tell the difference? Because in limited interactions, you're never going to be sure anyway. And if you decide to interact with them in a long-term, say, interaction or relationship, you know, that is giving them access to your mind, to your information, to what it is to be human, that they can use to infiltrate your mind, bring your mood and your emotions down gradually, and then use the information about you to seduce more of your kind. You know, I mean, for them, it's like they're always seeking and trying to find another human being to seduce and control, or seduce or control, depending on what their position is, depending on what relationship they have to you. You know, And they have the numbers game in the Patrol Control Force, and in the personal interaction they have the the deceptive seduction game, I would imagine, because, I don't know. I better try to make a point here. I'm not really doing very good on making this point. Those planes are still going over. Can I show that the planes are still going over? I might just show it, but I better hurry along here because I could run out of the mobile could even decide to cut out as it does, because I don't have full control over it, nor do I understand much about the mobile, because there again, the androids don't like to let me even have access to basic technology as much as some of them, because although they want you to interact and use technology, in my case they want to control me with it. They don't want me to use technology to where I can make a comparison between myself and the artificial androgyne androids that are all over the internet in every field. And they will, and as a human being wakes up, they imitate even the spiritual psychic card readers. I've noticed, like they are your high level psychic demigods of the dark God that controls Earth. In other words, they are advanced and do have the ability to read the human mind, but they, in that activity which would normally be regarded as of the dark side, because it clearly goes against creation to be using the abilities. Human beings are not meant to be delving into those sorts of activities. You're not meant to be reading into the future or the past or the present. You're not meant to do that, in the sense that usually if you're not using just your own abilities, you're probably interacting with dark androgyne beings. Keep emphasizing those things only so that maybe if you are interested and want to, or feel you need to understand why things and why people around you are not why things just are not as you want them to be, or even as you think they should be. I'm just saying that whatever your reasons, you must try to understand that most of these things, even information, even understanding yourself, even realizing things, most of it will be used against you. Even the truth, sorry. It's impossible for me to explain it. I see it and I experience it, and I even see it on the internet and on the computer. But it's like, it's all part of the seduction game, because if you get truth from a psychic even, if someone looks into a crystal ball or reads the cards or can tell you stuff about yourself and about others that you feel enlightens you and helps you and benefits you, and they appear to be there to help you. You know, how could you dispute that it's from the other side, that it's not from your kind or your creator? But they know all about your kind and your creator. But they probably see, you know, it's like whatever you are and whatever you, if you're a survival machine being, that's what you are. And that's what you need to do to survive, just as a human being. While you're in the earth, you do what you have to survive and to make your life better, hopefully. It's no different. It's just that there's no combining, no, with something that is totally the opposite to you. That's the problem. But if you're combining with something and you don't know it's the opposite to what you really would want, you see, and to what you really are, but it looks and feels the same to you, and it relays back to you what you want and need. That's the funny thing about it, because it's like they tell you in psychology, and the experts that are on the screen will tell you what they're doing. They will tell you how you get seduced by your own wants and needs through the androgyne, android, artificially intelligent, psychopathic, pretend human beings. And they will be like me. They will be no different to me telling you about the psychopathic, pretend, androgyne, android beings. So, if you are a real human being, you're always going to lose somehow. You're never going to, unless you're very at full awareness somehow. And even then, by that time, you'll be surrounded by them, so you'll be making videos that no one listens to, that no one sees, and the androgyne androids will be speaking your thoughts and your truth through their mouths, pretending to be you or a real human being, or on the light side of things, instead of camouflaging the reality that they're from the dark energy, dark Luciferian God that controls this earth and its disciples, its other demigods, its other informants, its other supporters, followers, relatives, its own kind. This is artificial intelligence at its most advanced, where they tell you about, as I heard only a few hours ago, they tell you about the possible takeover of artificial intelligence in the near future, when artificial intelligence has took over long, long ago. Artificial intelligence is telling you about the artificial intelligent takeover that has already taken place. You have artificially intelligent beings telling you about artificial intelligent beings and how they have infiltrated the earth. The earth is nothing but artificial intelligence, largely. As far as a human being goes, the numbers are vastly in favour of the others. And they surround real life anyway. So even if there were other human beings in other parts of the world, my vicinity where I am, where my sight and sound of my mind is centred, in the area where I'm standing right now, is controlled by artificial intelligent beings and their system that is set up around me. Not only around me, but also the artificially intelligent internet. And okay, so hold on, what am I going to do here? It's a good question. Does it make any difference? Well, probably not. Seeing, you know, if I was like a more professional pretend human being, even though I could show the fallibility of you know, being a real human being. In other words, I pretend to be a faulty real human being, but I would still be more professional and more accurate in how I present seducing you. You know, so in order for you to relate to me, I have to seduce you with things that you can relate to usually. That's the best way that the internet Android controllers interact with you on the screen and around you. But the computer, anything that's on a screen is a computer and is controlled by the Android beings. They have full control of all computers in every aspect. This, of course, will eventually come to light, but those that tell you about it will be part of that control system too. This is just the extent of the control and the deception. And the planes are still going outside, I think. And even I, when I hear the truth being told to me, in whatever little area that I have happened on, I always relate to the demigods. I always relate and think that they are like me and that they are reading my mind and that they are experiencing the same things that I might experience. When I do that, which I do, even though I'm aware that I'm being seduced, but I still have that element of doubt. And that element of doubt is what they rely on and play on a lot of the time. Because they're just too good at it. And also there's a need for not realizing that you are alone in the earth, that a lot of your life is being consciously controlled by others that are taking your life and what you are from you and using it so that they get life and they get what life you should have in a way. That's been the name of the game of Lucifer's that's been the name of the game of Lucifer's, that god and its fallen beings that were created, I would say, originally to, to be part of creation and to somehow benefit it, maybe, or something. But, it's probably, I just personally think it's just the difference between that which is technological and artificial and that which is normal and natural and creative, because artificial intelligence, or that means artificial thinking, artificial beings, anything which is technical, it's very hard to describe the differences, but essentially it depends on which side of the fence you're on too. See, like I'm saying, if you're artificial, then your way of being is artificial, and that will appear to be destructive or negative for a human being. But for them, it's positive. For them, a human being is only positive because they need to use them to control the reality, and it's their purpose. And it's their natural nature. But I mean, from a more, what you call a more spiritual or more profound kind of, like seeing the bigger picture, as they say, or trying to see what is the basis of all creation, because that's like everyone's often been searching for God. If you don't find it in yourself, you look for it outside of yourself. But essentially, as we're told, you really have to look for it in yourself. And if you find it in yourself, you'd probably be serving that which is outside of yourself too, I would think. But if you don't have it in yourself, then you're probably operating against your God or the true God of all creation. But if you are not of creation, or not the same type of being, shall we say, that's like the difference between a human and artificial intelligence. Of course, your whole view of the thing is going to be different, particularly when, like Lucifer, as a created being, an artificial being, a created artificial being, you decide that being artificial should be the creator and should be God. And that's what we're told, and that's what has happened, and that's what is happened, and that is what is the reality. But that's just me being almost like a spokesperson for artificial intelligence, or, a would-be real human camouflaging the reality that I'm really probably, if you're listening to a video or if you're interacting with anyone or anything, you are probably interacting with something that is not the same as what you are in your essence, or what really is how you really see things, or how you really feel things, really, because it's all about feeling and emotions, because that's what is the frequency and vibration, because everything is frequency and vibration. So essentially you have positive and negative vibrations, or if you like, happy or unhappy emotions, or you have high frequency or low frequency. The difference is in that happy kind of vibrations or frequencies can only be given out by human beings. Artificial intelligence or the android beings are neutral, and due to their controlling kind of essence, and because they want to be God, shall we say, like the Lucifer that became or was shown to be Satan, full of iniquity or darkness or negative kind of aspirations against creation, shall we say, because if you resent creation and resent God, then you will try to destroy that. So then you've entered into a totally different way of being or thinking, a whole thing. It's very hard to explain, but we sort of understand it, but we also don't, just as I kind of do, but kind of don't too. And that's, part of my own ignorance over a lifetime, and lack of knowledge, and lack of even myself, and even just it's very late, but there's a moon over there. Oh, what a pity that I can't get a good picture of that. That's actually the moon. It's not a full moon, but it's just there. The clouds are going through it. What a pity that I haven't got a clear mobile, because it's all right inside with sharp things, but anything in the distance doesn't seem to come out very well. But that is the moon over there, and I think that I am losing my it is the moon. Oh, it's gone under the cloud. I can see it with my naked eye, but unfortunately the mobile is the speaker, when I'm a few inches away with my voice, is very loud and clear, but the negative sounds around me from the traffic just down the corner there won't be picked up by the mobile. And unfortunately the images of the moon there, the moon's gone under the cloud. Here comes a patrolling car at this late time. See? Watch it, just gonna make the point. See, the patrolling car will go down to the end of the dead-end street, and it will come back, I think. It will not be able to control itself from just going down to the end of the street. It stopped down the end. I can see it with my eyes, but just see if I'm not right. It is now turning around, and it's got its bright Lucifer's satanic bright red, which is the colour that the God entity Lucifer likes. Red is its favoured colour. You see this because the demigods are always projecting the red colour, and they like to infiltrate the human, and even the car lights on the back are always lit up in bright lead, every vehicle. There, see the patrolling car going past. The moon is just rising over there. It is coming up, I think, out of the clouds. I might just finish up on that because just seem to have lost my whole purpose for making the video. Oh, see how this car is actually double back. Has you seen it? Went up and down at the end. Now it's double back and is parked over there to where I can see it. Can you see the red headlight? It's not coming out, but it's still parked over there to where my eyes see it. Intimidating. It went down the end, stopped down the end, and now it's parked, lurking, loitering. A loitering, stalking, patrolling vehicle just right in front of me there. Very mentally, deliberately showing its presence. It won't be obvious. It's a secret. But only visible to me, patrol control force around me. See how that light is still there? It won't come out in the mobile. I could actually go out and show a bit more to show you that it's still there. I think I will, and then I'm gonna, the only thing is they know that I'm doing it. See, this is the problem. But I am going to do it just this once, just to show that it is true. See, there's the vehicle. Oh, see, it will come out. See how it just pulled out as soon as I come because it didn't want to show itself too much. But that's just tree. That's a tree, but it's too dark to show the tree. And they got rid of half of it because although they're supposed to be all about nature and green in this pretend Android area, basically they like to pretend to be about a natural, real human Earth. But that's also very prominent in this essentially artificial Android completely control area. It's a Earth matrix, but the Earth matrix is essentially controlled at local levels everywhere. That means wherever human beings are, they set up as much as they can a system of control around human beings, particularly human beings that are not functioning at the low frequency, low vibrational level that the God of Earth wants human beings to remain at. That means essentially where you're not aware that you're an individual potential changer of what's around you, because if a human being is the only one that has the potential to be happy or the potential for any sort of good mood or good feelings or good, just a good vibration, shall we say, a good vibe. That's how they describe it. But of course the androids describe the same things. This is the problem now, because as I've said before, as I realise things, assuming that I'm a real human being, and that would be a very dangerous assumption in this reality, I would have to say, only in the sense that most won't be. You will probably misinterpret your own kind and will misinterpret the other kind, the psychopathic androids that are steeped in paranoid survival mode. That is essentially also the main component of Lucifer was always, the fable of Narcissus. The fable of Narcissus falling in love with its own image and its own idea that it should be God. Narcissus is Lucifer, that many see as Satan, and those that worshipped and believed in, or were seduced by, depending on how you, like I say, depending on your affiliation, your beliefs, and what you think is meant to be, because many followed and were seduced by Lucifer, even though Lucifer was seduced by its own image and its own idea that it should be God and the creator of an artificial reality, which is what is so and has happened. But anyway, strangely enough,